understood you were getting a benefit in exchange for something. She's holding the vehicle for you for 48 hours.
Correct.
Isn't the compensation for that $1,000? Isn't that what a hold deposit is?
I asked her to hold it for 48 hours. She didn't even hold it for 24 hours before it was listed as sold. And then there's no communication back. So I think all these things kind of come to the fact that I didn't say specifically he absolutely does not want the truck.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Hamilton, I also noticed the timing here. Within 24 hours, he contacted you and said he doesn't really want the vehicle.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
And then, and I did interpret that as we don't want it. I can understand that you interpreted it that way.
Thank you.
But then 3 hours later, you took it off the market. Why would you do that? You know he doesn't want the vehicle anymore.
Right.
Why did you now take it off the market? One of the concerns that Mr. Dalton raised was you appear to have sold it before the 48 hours was over.
No.
But you're saying you did not.
No, ma'am.
Right. And you are saying the only reason I marked it as sold is because I had a deposit.
Right, yeah.
Okay. But that's what I don't understand, because here's the actual timing. The deposit was agreed to be taken.
Correct.
At 4:06 p.m., about 4 o'clock on September 25th. On September 26th, the next day, at about 4 p.m., is when Mr. Dalton wrote you what I interpret to be he doesn't want the car anymore, what he interprets to be I may not want the car anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. They get notified on Facebook Messenger when a listing that they are communicating about is changed. They received that notification at 7:48 p.m. on September 26th.
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that the timeline of events was deposit, I don't want the car, listing removed.
Correct.
Why didn't you leave it listed on Facebook Marketplace when they said we do not want your vehicle anymore?
Because I was already talking to someone else. Not via Facebook Marketplace.
So you already had another buyer that you were in contact with?
No, after he told me.
Right. Within 3 hours, you were able to procure another buyer?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
When was the agreement to sell the car made?
I didn't end up selling it until October 7th, Monday.
But what I'm getting at is you were confident enough that the other buyer was going to buy it by 7 o'clock p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the purpose of taking it down on the 26th was not because you believed it was sold to the plaintiff.
Right.
It was because you believe you had turned around and resold it.
Right.
That's all I've got. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to my colleagues.
Were you going to apply the deposit towards the purchase?
Correct. It was going to be $13,000 on Fridays.
And just to be clear, Mr. Dalton, whose contract do you think this was? Yours or your son's?
I would probably say both of us. I mean, I'll take responsibility. I mean, I was engaged in the conversation with Kennedy probably more than
Were you going to pay anything towards this vehicle?
No, sir.
He was going to be responsible for the full purchase price.
Well, the deal that I made with him is that he was going to put $8,000 of his money down, and then he was going to make payments with me.
Okay. Okay, I have nothing further.
I'm good.
Good.
Okay. Thank you both very much.
Yeah, of course.
We will resolve this case. We have a verdict. It's not unanimous. Judge Tuwalda and Judge Juarez believe that there was a contract here between you, Mr. Dalton, as the father of Ashton, and that there was an agreement with respect to the offer of a deposit to the defendant for her to hold the vehicle for 48 hours on behalf of your son. And under the law in California, without written agreement indicating that it was to be refundable, it is in effect non-refundable because the defendant honored her end of the deal because of the interpretation applied to it by Judge Tuwalda and Judge Juarez, and therefore they would dismiss your complaint in its entirety. On the other hand, I dissented. I felt that even though you had discussions about the deposit, this transaction was essentially that of your sons and the defendant, who was a mature woman, and that under the laws of California, the minor is entitled to disavow the contract, number one. Number two, I thought that your effort to resolve the case was admirable and what a father should do, both in helping them to understand what life is about and also teaching a lesson. But the ultimate lesson is that you should never put a deposit on a car unless you're absolutely certain you're going to buy it. So The verdict is as I expressed. Complaint is dismissed.